But I will be speaking well beyond June about the importance of us taking pride and ownership in American music that happens to have been created by Black people during the 400 years of enslavement, free labor. And I say enslavement beyond actual declaration of our liberation
Yes.
because it's still a certain level of enslavement going on. But we are very free in the creation of our melanin magic.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day number 8. We're starting week number 2 of the Black Music Month 30 series here on the Groove Line. And as you can see, this is an honor and a privilege. We have the mother of Black Music Month, African American Music Celebration Month, I believe is what it's originally called.
Black Music Month.
Black Music Month. We'll go with it. Ladies and gentlemen, this woman has been a force in the Black music industry for over 50 years. She's been on the radio. She's been on Unsung. She's still doing a lot of things today, which is why we are grateful to have her on because she's about to hit the road and I got to get out of her face so she can get busy, finish packing. But ladies and gentlemen, it is our absolute honor and privilege to have Miss Dyana Williams here on the Groove Line. Dyana, how are you doing today?
Chris, I am thrilled to be on the Groove Line with you, and shout out to your mother, Miss Paula, who is a WDAS Philadelphia 105.3.
Mm-hmm.
She remembers my days doing Loves on the Menu there. So shout out to your mama.
Oh, she's gonna love that. I can't wait to play this clip for her. But before we get to that, so obviously this is year number 47 of Black Music Month. And just for people who may not be familiar with the backstory, could you just talk about how that all came to be?
The Black Music Association was an idea developed by my ex and my dear friend Kenny Gamble, a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, multiple Grammy Award winning songwriter, producer, with his partner Leon A. Huff, and the founder of Philadelphia International Records. Gamble, who is a native of Philadelphia, had a vision to get Black folks together in the music industry from different parts: executives, artists, songwriters, producers, engineers, journalists, most importantly, consumers. And
Yeah.
so the Black Music Association was formed in 1978. And in June of 1979, the 7th of June, to be more specific, Clarence Avant got the Carter administration, President Jimmy Carter, to host a reception acknowledging June as Black Music Month and celebrating any and everybody who touches Black music.
And just watching this thing, obviously you've had a chance to see it grow. You and Mr. Gamble, Mr. Vaughn, of course, is no longer with us, but he played a huge part as well. But have you guys had a chance to talk over the years about just how a simple reception on the lawn of the White House has turned into basically a worldwide celebration?
Well, Chris, it was more than just an event on the White House, and it was significant in that, to my knowledge, that many Black folks on the South Lawn of the White House in the late 70s
Yeah.
and celebrating Black music, specifically American music, and President Carter acknowledging that much in his remarks, that's pretty significant. And I won't forget it. And yes, to answer your question, Chris, Mr. Gamble and I have talked over the years about the growth. I've been the out front more than him over the years, but he was the creator. We were a couple at the time. We have 3 children, and I frequently have said to him, Black Music Month is the 4th child.
Yeah.
We have 2 living children. Our son Saladin passed some years ago, but we marvel. And it wasn't just a simple reception. This was part of the vision that Kenny Gamble, Ed Wright, and I had, along with the members of the Black Music Association, which is not formally in active existence right now. However, the mission remains the same: equity for those who create the music, parity, inclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at a time now where I don't know of too many Black music divisions. There used to be plentiful, thanks to the work of Kenny Gamble and the Black Music Association. At one time, you had, oh my goodness. Well, first, we start with Motown and Berry Gordy. Then we had Stax Records in Memphis. We also had Solar Records, the sound of Los Angeles, Dick Griffey on the West Coast. And Clarence Avant had Sussex Records and brought us Bill Withers and other phenomenal artists. So there have been Black labels, and they were independent labels. However, Gamble and Huff got into a relationship with CBS. And then you had L.A. Reid and Babyface. They had LaFace Records. Earth, Wind, and Fire had a situation. And then you started seeing the growth of independent labels having relationships with majors. Because at that time, there was no internet, Chris, as you well
Yes.
know.
Yes.
And now, an independent artist, if I create a body of music, of work, I can go directly to the consumer on TikTok, any of the social media platforms. And that did not exist at that time. So things have changed, especially with the technology, as I referenced the internet. But the bottom line is that Gamble's position and that of the BMA and mine, Black music is green. It's a cultural force and energy, a universal language overstood by billions. But in terms of the economics of Black music, its consumption, and what happens as a result of Black music, we have fashion, we have language, we have dance, we have literature, we have film, all of this connected to Black music, exported around the globe.
Yeah,
And I venture to say that the billions that have been made and are made from our music, the creators are not always the recipients. So the Black Music is Green campaign for me continues as it does for Kenny Gamble and members of the Black music industry.
and I wanted to get your thoughts on the way the world is right now, because I know you mentioned inclusion, and that is the third part of what appears to be being phased out by the folks in charge now, in the White House and whatnot. Just, is it frustrating for your from your perspective to know that the strides that your generation has made? Because I want to give the boomers and the Gen Xers their props for all the social changes that you all have affected, and it seems like we're going backwards, especially with respect to the arts and culture and different things of that nature. Is that a point of frustration for you, or does it something that you want to sort of help the younger generations understand that it is up to them to take the mantle to keep this thing going?
Chris, it's one of the reasons why I'm on your show to articulate the need for us to these rollbacks and things that you referred to as a result of the current administration. For me, God is always in charge. And as far as Black folks are concerned, we are survivors and we punch up, we organize, we express the frustration, and we take action, we do boycotts, we need to do more. This generation needs to utilize many of the tools that your mother, my mother, I engaged in back in the day because they affected change. I think this is a brief moment in time. I'm not capitulating to despair. I am committed to optimism. And as I said to you a moment ago, I know God's in charge and we're resilient people. We figure it out no matter what. And
Yes,
the bottom line is, too, Chris, we have a flavor unlike any other human beings on the planet. And let
absolutely,
me also say, I
absolutely.
respect fellow human beings, some more than others, some deserve more respect than others. But when you consider global culture, which is the which is the flavor that has been absorbed everywhere? South America, Australia, the Antarctic, all through Europe, Russia, China, Asia. Black music,
It's
Black
us.
culture
It's us.
seems to have permeated all of those places and spaces, regardless to religious beliefs and social economic. Black music and culture, the culture connected to the music, is prevalent all over the planet. Now, tell me, help me, Chris, is there another that permeates as much. And we're in all spaces. We're in European classical music with excellence. There's a buddy of mine, his name is Joseph Conyers. Joseph plays with the Philadelphia Orchestra, the World Philadelphia Orchestra, a black man on the bass. What European culture? But he excels and he's a representation of excellence in music. And as far as black music is concerned, pop charts. Hey, didn't Beyonce win Best Country? Didn't she
Yes,
get a
ma'am.
Grammy for Best Country Album?
She sure
Did
did.
Nashville embrace that album or the people that collaborated with her? No, not so much. But I was thrilled that the Grammys, gave recognition because after all, we were also creators of country music
Yes, yes.
and rock music. Shocking to some people. So part of the agenda of June, Black Music Month, is to teach, to learn, to, like I'm saying, somebody might right now be saying, what is she talking about? Black people founded rock. Well, I would encourage my fellow human beings who do not know to do some due diligence, as I have. Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Listen to their music and then go listen to artists like Eric Clapton, the Beatles, Elton John. Hear them cite Muddy Waters. The Rolling Stones took their name from a Muddy Waters song. So they are white artists who have indicated that the wellspring of a great deal of their inspiration has come from those four mothers and four fathers in rock, in country. Oh, did I leave out Jimi Hendrix? Ooh,
Ooh,
ah, Jimi Hendrix, Woodstock. We saw a black man work the whatever out of a guitar. And guess what, Chris? That was rock. And that was in the 60s. And he was in the army. He played with James Brown. He was in Nashville. Jimi Hendrix, one of the forefathers of rock. Black music, black people. I call it melanin magic, Chris.
Amen. Amen. We gonna rock with that for sure. Just coming back to the future of Black Music Month, what do you hope that people get from, obviously you're going to be doing more things with this month. I mean, this show is just one of many things that you're doing, but what do you hope that the younger generation wants to understand? I mean, you just gave a dynamite history lesson. Like, I don't know how anybody could watch this and not, sort of pick some things up from it. But what do you hope to continue doing as long as you are able with Black Music Month?
I want young people. I have a young grandson. Gamble and I have a 11 and a half-year-old grandson. His name is Luke Gamble. I
Mhm.
sit with Luke. Sometimes he doesn't, it's like, Nana, now what? I drag him to shows and you know what I mean? It is my obligation and responsibility as a grandmother to pass on some of my passion and interest. Now, my grandson may or may not receive it right now. Perhaps a little later, the light bulb will go off in his head that his grandfather was one of the greatest American living songwriters of the 20th and 21st century.
Absolutely.
Knowledge is power. So it is our obligation and responsibility as adults to share with younger generation the music that we love. I recently was with somebody who was older than me, and they were poo-pooing this generation of music. Now, candidly, I don't like a lot of what I hear, but because I come from the generation of real instruments, no
Yes.
computers. People created music together. They went in the studio. It has a different sound. Like I still love listening to vinyl because you hear things that it's not as clean. A lot of the music today is crisp, super clean. No, some of the soul is out of it. It's a little
Mhm.
soulless. I
Yes.
love, which is why, my dear friend D'Angelo, very old school. He listened to what came before him. So I say to young people and to my age and older, let's all listen and explore different music. Let's do deep dives into artists that perhaps we didn't know. Like even now, I'm going back to artists that I love to hear cuts that I perhaps missed because I love their music so much. Like I'm a
Right.
big Marvin Gaye girl. I keep going back. And always, even with the songs that I know, I hear something different and it makes that music. And imagine What's Going On is my all time favorite album. Every time I listen to it, I hear something different. And so, our responsibility and obligation during obligation, you must know Black Music Month. And every day, this continues beyond Black Music Month, Chris. Let's not get it twisted. Go
Absolutely.
hear live music. You don't have any money, go to the library, get a library card, plenty of books about Black music and contributors to genres. Support organizations. I'm a founding board member of the National Museum of African American Music, Fifth and Broadway in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. Yes, I said Nashville.
I have
Nashville,
to make
where
a
the
trip down there.
Fifth, you must go, Chris. The Fifth Jubilee Singers were the first internationally known superstars out of America. They went to Europe and performed in front of the royal courts to raise money to develop Fisk University, located where? Oops, in Nashville. Anyway, support institutions like the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville. Take out a family membership, gift a membership. These are the things that perpetuate and preserve culture, and you must come to Nashville, Chris.
Yes.
So, big and small ways, go to hear live performances that are free. Do your due diligence. There are Black Music Month celebrations all over the country. I'm headed to LA for June 16th. There will be a hip hop day at the Los Angeles Grammy Museum. I will be speaking with photographer Ron St. Clair about that first Black Music Month celebration on the South Lawn of the White House, June 7th, 1979. But I will be speaking well beyond June about the importance of us taking pride and ownership in American music that happens to have been created by Black people during the 400 years of enslavement, free labor. And I say enslavement beyond actual declaration of our liberation,
Yes.
because it's still a certain level of enslavement going on. But we are very free in the creation of our melanin magic.
Yes, ma'am. And I did want to, talk about a little bit about your career as you started in radio as Ebony Moonbeams. Make people, if you never saw the movie Talk to Me, her character is featured in that movie. So,
Well, no, I'm not in that movie. That's Kathy Hughes, my best friend.
okay,
Kathy
yeah,
Hughes, Kathy Hughes. I came later. I came a little later, but I knew Petey Green and the gentleman, Bob Terry, Nighthawk.
yeah.
He is the gentleman who gave me my first gig in radio. So yes, talk to me. And also Dewey Hughes, who was Kathy Hughes's second husband, also someone who I knew in DC and still know.
Okay, so let me clarify that. Okay, so she wasn't in Talk to Me, but she still Deanna holds a very special place.
Adjacent.
Yeah, it's still a very special place in Black radio because I when I first started listening to you, I was listening to you on Soulful Sundays with Derek Sampson
Yes.
on classics, you know,
Shout out to Derek.
and that was the way I started to build my music base as well. Because when y'all used to do Battle of the Best every Sunday at 12 o'clock, I was locked in. So, just when you look at your career and how you've been able to parlay radio and build your skill set to where you were writing for magazines, you were a panelist on Unsung, and you run Influence Entertainment where you still help artists, get themselves tight and right, as the old saying goes. Just how big of a thrill is it to be able to say that you have so much history in this industry, helping others and people admiring you, and just to get you out of here on this note, what advice would you give to somebody who is going to become familiar with you after this or during this, and what they how they can become, I don't know, I don't want to say become the next Dyana Williams, but become their own person that has as much to offer the industry and Black culture as you do?
Wow, that's loaded, Chris. Here we go. I start with be passionate. I started very young. I knew very young what I wanted to do. I had my first gig in radio at 19, hired by Bob Nighthawk Terry at 96.3 WHUR, where I used the moniker of Ebony Moonbeams, as you mentioned. But
Yes.
when I was 18, I wrote down my 5-year plan goals, and I wanted to stay very focused, and I knew what I wanted to do. Imagine that. I was 18. I was like, boom. I knew that I wanted to work in radio. I knew that I wanted to also work in television. I knew that I wanted to fall in love and have a family. So my goals, I wrote these things down in a diary, Chris. And before 5 years, I had accomplished those goals. And inherent in my goals always is to lift Black culture, to celebrate people who are the creators of it as well as the consumers of it. And that's everybody, regardless to color. I was just committed and dedicated, and I worked hard, and I wasn't afraid to put in long hours. So, to young people, I say, do your due diligence, study and learn the craft of whatever area it is that you wish to go into. Find a mentor. A mentor is very, very helpful. And you know what? It's not me now. It's not me, Chris. I have several mentees right now,
Mhm.
and you got to realize when your plate is full and you can't take on anymore. Like if you're
Right.
in a boat and water's coming on, you better get that water out or you're going to go down. So,
Yeah.
but get a mentor, someone who can kind of guide you through whatever the passage is that you will be traveling on. Be very fixed and don't be defeated. A no, turn a no. Kathy Hughes, who I just mentioned to you, Chris, she was turned down for a bank loan to buy her radio station 32, 33 times. And a Puerto Rican female banker finally said yes. And then she was able to get other people to come on board. But at the end of the day, don't despair. Be fearless. And that's what I did. And that's what I do. So oftentimes I got questioned about, oh, you're on the radio and you're on TV and you write for publications and you produce live events. I'm a live concert promoter, or not a promoter, but I'm more of the creative architect. I worked with a gentleman named Pat Moran for years when I was on the board of the Marian Anderson Award, and I was his collaborator. And we did tributes to John Bon Jovi, Berry Gordy, Wynton Marsalis, Gamble and Huff, Patti LaBelle, Kool and the Gang. And my job was oftentimes securing the honoree and also the performers that were doing the tribute. A year or so ago, I was the director of talent for the Wow Wow Welcome America Festival, which is a free 16-day festival in Philadelphia throughout all communities. So I'm a servant. And I never, when people say, well, why you do so much? What do you do? You mentioned my business, Influence Entertainment, where I do artist development and media coaching. And it is an umbrella for my speaking engagements, for any and everything else that I do. Do what you have in your mind to do, that you are passionate about. Be of service to your community. Give back. Make give back. When I work with artists, I always question them when we do goals. What is your give back? Community. You become a servant of the community. When I crack a mic open or I'm on TV, I'm thinking about who I'm speaking with, who I'm there for. I'm thinking about culture and the preservation and the perpetuation of it. So, long answer to your short question, uh, do what you have in your mind to do and do it with the utmost commitment beyond yourself. Obviously, you're doing it with and for yourself, but do it with others in mind as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to close this one out on that note. Ms. Dyana Williams, it is an honor and a privilege. I thank you so much for taking the time. If anybody wants to get, follow you on social media or influence entertainment, how can they do so?
Deanna, Dyana Williams, and all across everything. I am not on TikTok, but I'm on Facebook and IG and Twitter. Well, what is Twitter called now?
X. I call
Oh,
it
X.
I,
It's
I
still
call it
Twitter.
I call it the musty app for obvious reasons.
I have friends that question me and say, "Why are you still on there?" I'm interested in places where I can deliver information about culture, and
Yeah,
those are the places right now that I've chosen.
That's pretty much the only reason I'm still on it too. But yes, ladies and
Oh, the
gentlemen,
same.
that's going to do it for day number 8 of the Black Music Month 30 series here on the Groove Line. We want to thank Miss Dyana Williams once again, and we want to thank y'all for coming along for the ride. Contact information will be in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe, tap that notification bell so you're notified of all the new videos that drop on the channel, and please comment. I mean, Deanna talked about some amazing stuff. So I better see some comments. I better see some, some questions, some
Press.
answers, some different things because this is one of our biggest interviews yet. And I thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate you.
And Chris, a happy Black Music Month to you. I've been enjoying your interviews. These are artists whose music I played on the radio, who I still love, who we need to support, especially
Right.
our elder musicians and artists. We really need to give these individuals as much joy and love as they've given us over the years with their music. So happy Black Music Month to you, Chris, to Miss Paula, and to all of the supporters of your show.
Thank you so much.
Peace.
And thank y'all for watching. And until the next time we ride, may you find the groove or may the groove find you.
Peace.